Hello, my name is Timothy Williams and I am a research fellow at the Centre for Conflict Studies at the University of Marburg, and I'm also doing my PhD at the Free University in Berlin. My PhD thesis is on the topic of why people participate in genocide, and I'm trying to look at what motivates people, what moves them to participate in this act of violence, but also how they come to participate in the groups which are committing genocide. There is literature on this topic already, and it started off primarily in Holocaust studies. Here, for instance, we have a book, The Nazi Doctors, which looks at Auschwitz doctors and how they managed to cope with the work they were doing, and talks about the process of having double personalities. We also have a very controversial book, Hitler's Willing Executions by Daniel Jonah Goldhagen, in which he talks about an eliminationist anti-Semitism, which is innate to Germans, and that the Germans thus wanted to kill all the Jews. Very controversial and not very much support in the research community for that, but big debates in the 90s. The debate also included Christopher Browning, who studied in this book exactly the same police troop as Goldhagen did, and came to very different results, looking much more at the social dynamics within the group. It's not just the Holocaust research which is interesting for my PhD thesis, but also the Rwandan genocide and research on it 20 years ago. This is a journalistic book. We wish to inform you that tomorrow we will be killed with our families. Quite a shocking title and quite a shocking book as well. There's also some excellent academic literature on the topic. Here I have The Order of Genocide by Scott Strauss, or Liane Fuji's Killing Neighbors. This talks a lot more about social dynamics behind it, and why, if you're part of a group, that constitutes a motivation for genocide, and how within that group the dynamics can produce genocidal mentalities. Also, there's social psychological literature on the topic, quite a lot of it. Here we have The Lucifer Effect by Zimbardo, which is reporting on his Stanford prison experiment, which looks about how taking on a certain role can change the way people perceive themselves and enable them to do actions they possibly otherwise would not have done. And this is an excellent book, Becoming Evil by James Waller, which looks at all sorts of different psychological processes which some are facilitating and some are motivating for people participating in genocide. Now, all this literature, and there's a lot more as well which I've read, is great, but it doesn't always speak to each other. So the Holocaust literature and the Rwanda literature and the social psychological literature and other literatures as well, they don't really come together. They've done excellent work, but there's no research so far which tries to bring it together, and that's what I'm doing in my PhD thesis. I'm trying to construct a model which can explain why people participate in genocide in several different contexts. I'm working on the model at the moment, it will be finished later this year. And then, in the second part of my PhD thesis, I want to test this model with fieldwork. So I will be going to Cambodia later this year to do that. I'll be there for 6 months, and we'll be doing interviews, conducting interviews with former Khmer Rouge perpetrators, people who participated in the genocide of the Khmer Rouge regime in the late 70s. I want to spend time getting to know them, gaining their trust, and then ultimately have conversations with them on how they came to participate in Khmer Rouge militias, and also how they felt, what their motivations were, and what the dynamics were, how they actually came to participate in violence. I'll need 6 months to do this because it's a long process, is gaining people's trust on such a sensitive topic. I already have the funding for me, for my flights, my accommodation, my travel costs, etc. But I don't have the funding yet for my research assistant or my translator. I need a translator because I don't speak Khmer, and I need someone who can mediate the dialogue between myself and my interview partner, someone who can not just translate the language, but also the concepts of my research into words which make sense to people in a Cambodian context. So I would be really, really thankful to you if you would be prepared to sponsor me for this and would be able to provide some funds for this research project. If you click here on the right, you can see a lot of different options of how much you can give me, and different prizes and thank yous for me for that. I would be very, very grateful, because I believe that this research is really important. I believe that it's so important to understand why people participate in genocide, because it's not enough to just understand why these happen at an abstract political level. If we want to stop genocide, we need to look at why normal people like you and me participate. What are the motivations? What are the dynamics behind it? It's not part of my PhD to find out exactly how we can stop genocide, but my PhD is hopefully going to provide results which can be used to try and stop genocide in the world. So I would be very, very thankful to you if you would be able to support me in this project. Thank you very much.